So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion so carried. Thank you very much, and hopefully maybe we can see the dog park get open. How you guys doing?
We cleared about a fifth of it,
Uh-huh.
and then we had a lot of snow. Not the safest conditions for operating chainsaws, so we're on hold until it's kind of thawed out.
Okay. Okay, well,
High
great.
hopes.
Okay, so anyway, so that's approved.
What do you have?
Thanks.
And
Do-
so, does our clerk have a copy of their annual report? Did
I'll
you-
give you mine. You can have it.
This is a very impressive summary of your achievements, so good to put those in the public record.
Why don't we give here,
wanna sign
Michael,
that?
so you can see what the dog park committee has been doing to try to bring this dog park to reality. And we really do want to thank you too, because it's one of the, you're probably one of the only organizations that has a contract with the town that's actually providing the documentation that's asked for. So thank you. Thank you very much. Do you want to, we might as well just do the family contract and some of these other real quickly. The family contract, it's a very straightforward contract. We authorized in this year's budget, we actually increased it from $20,000 to $25,000 because of the pressure that the family is under to provide food to the community. And we know the demands are just getting greater and greater. So do I have a motion to, actually, I would like to move the contract with family.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So,
I would actually want to change the contract to not to say that we're interested in emergency and human services, but that we're interested in providing assistance to family of New Paltz to provide emergency and human services.
so you want to take out town
I want to
is
just add, the town is, whereas...
dedicated,
Yes.
committed?
Right.
The town is committed,
Committed is better.
To
emergency and human,
funds
to providing.
for family of New Paltz to provide emergency and human services. And it's not just for the residents of the town of New Paltz.
I move the amendment.
Okay, so whereas the
Second.
town is committed to providing funds to family of New Paltz,
In order, so that the...
for emergency and human services for the residents of the town of New Paltz?
Yes.
Okay,
So I'm seconding the amendment.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. So Kathy will be able to come collect her check as soon as,
Okay.
okay, so that's that. Okay.
25,000?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was 20, but we increased it this year in the budget to 25 because we felt that the family really, really needed it.
I'm going to communicate that clearly to as many people as I can.
Thank you. We are the only town that actually funds family.
March 1st. Did we
You know,
Okay.
do that?
And there were, well, I won't even comment. I'll tell you that off the record later. The rescue squad contract, that one's pretty quick too.
Yeah, I was just concerned about the date on page, where is it? It's last year's dates.
Contract for the ambulance service. This agreement is made the
Right.
22nd day of
Page
March
3.
2013.
Yes, but on page 3, it says January 1st, 2012,
Right.
and it should be changed to January 1st, 2013, to December 31st, 2013.
Jean, where
So,
are you?
It's on
Page
page
3,
3,
item
under
10.
10 term,
Okay,
okay?
so this is 2013,
Yep.
2013. Okay.
And did we make our first payment? Because otherwise we're
We
late.
we will make the payment as soon as we approve it tonight.
I move that we approve the amended
Second.
rescue squad contract.
And I would like the signatures dated, just so that we
Yes.
have a record of
Right.
when
Okay.
these payments are being made.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
motion so carried.
Aye.
Kevin, do you want to talk about the fire contract?
Sure. I met with Stuart Glenn and Ariana, who are both village trustees. We met with representatives from the fire department, the village fire department, and the company which contracts with the fire department to provide the manpower. It's actually a separate not-for-profit. So it's something I learned. And we have essentially come to terms on the contract. The contract obviously is going to be the same contract price, which will be split between the town and the village based upon the number of calls. There's going to be a contribution, a new term to the contract will be a contribution by the town and the village in the amount of $25,000 each, which will be dedicated to an equipment fund from which they'll be able to purchase equipment going forward. That's number one. Number two, we also negotiated the payment, a direct payment from the town to the company to support their activities, including social and benevolent activities that they engage in. That payment that we've discussed is in the amount of $25,000, and we are having discussions currently with the village about how we allocate that amount between the town and the village. We're talking about splitting it right now. The question is how the village will be able to budget for that for next year. So that's a summary of our negotiations so far. I'm waiting for Joe Ariel to confirm that the village is on board with these terms and conditions, and then we'll have something more formal to present to this town board to approve. So that's a summary of where we
Were
are.
you provided with a copy of their budget?
We're not provided with a copy of their budget, the not-for-profit's budget, nor do we have the ability to audit their accounts by contract or by this contract. We're actually contracting with the village. It's the village that budgets for its fire department, and its fire department contracts with this not-for-profit company to provide the manpower in the form of volunteer firemen, firefighters, firewomen. So that's the way it works.
I think what she meant was, did you get a copy of the village fire department budget and the village's budget?
No, I don't have a copy of the
Whatever
budget.
the fire department
Line
provided
3410.
to the village.
Right,
They don't have it yet?
not yet.
Okay.
So we don't know how much is in their equipment reserve fund.
We don't know, well,
You wouldn't know that from the budget anyway.
the way it's,
How do we know what it is?
here's,
I know, I
Here's-
got you all to myself now.
here's the way it's worked in the past, or up until this time. Any money that was left over in their budget went to the equipment reserve
Right.
fund. The way it works going forward is because the comptroller and the auditors didn't like that approach, they wanted instead for a specific amount to be set for contribution to the equipment reserve fund from the village and the town, so that there is a specific amount stated, it's clear, and it's not subject to anybody's discretion going forward. When I say discretion is, whatever money's left over would go into the equipment reserve fund. Now that the new mechanism is in place, or at least recommended to be put in place, any money left over in their budget would come back to the town and to the village taxpayers. That's my understanding. So if there was $10,000 left over in their budget, and there were equal number of calls between the town and the village, we would have $5,000 returned to us
Okay, I
for,
understand that.
which we could essentially use to offset the
But
following year's
somewhere
expense.
there is an accounting of what is currently in the equipment reserve fund.
I would imagine
Yes.
there is.
Okay. And so they consider it $25,000 deficient, or this is just a way to
It's-
build for
It's a
future-
contribution to build for future
future
purchases.
needs? Okay.
When you look at their facility down there, they have 4 trucks and only 3 doors. So they have to maneuver the trucks in such a way so they can get out the doors.
Mhm.
Obviously, 4 vehicles cannot leave the building at the same time. So,
Okay,
So I'll have
we'll
more to
wait for you.
report next week.
Okay, that's great. And I'm sorry, Dave, I just realized too that you were here. Dave came partly for the water and sewer. Well, he came for water and sewer, but he also came at my request because I sent you the stuff for the grants writer.
Yep, I saw.
And so I had asked Dave to come, so we could talk about the grants writer in the meeting that we had. So
I didn't.
we added it to the agenda, the grants writer website.
anything on it.
I sent you guys, I
I
did
got
send
an
you.
email today.
No,
Oh,
they got it,
today?
no, they
Yeah.
got it,
What's
it
it
was
called?
yesterday, it was
Well, maybe it
yesterday.
was yesterday, I printed it off
I
today.
think it was yesterday, but I did
Who's
make
it
copies.
from?
It's from me. I forwarded, it was from Victor Cornelius.
But it was from you to
It was
me.
from me, I forwarded Victor
All right.
Cornelius's,
Oh.
and it was yesterday, I think I sent it. But then I printed off more just in case you didn't get it in time. I don't know what my thing is. So actually, if it's okay, if we could jump to that, because I just realized that was partly why
Okay.
Dave was here, and I don't want to keep Dave staying if he doesn't want to
All
stay either, so, and we probably should also, we could do the adoption of the water and sewer rates afterwards.
Gotcha.
But, when I had the good fortune of being elected the supervisor of the town, I had called Dave and asked Dave who, if he knew of, who he thought was a really, really good grants writer, because Jim Littlefoot had been talking a lot about, getting grants writer in the town, not getting money. And Dave had recommended Victor Cornelius, and I had called him up, and it was right around Christmas time, and we were on the phone for about 3 hours. We had a very, very good conversation all about grants and water and sewer. And, but, we didn't proceed with him because we were trying to figure out where we were going. As you all know, we authorized Dave to work on Sewer 6 to come up with a new plan. He came, we had a meeting with the Sewer 6 residents, we presented, Dave and I went over to the village, over to the DEC, spoke with them, and then we sort of put a hold on everything as we were trying to see where we were going with consolidation and with working with the village to see if we could get Sewer 6 in there. We can't wait to see what the future holds. We have to solve the problems now. John Sansalone from the DEC had called and said that he was going to be retiring in July, and he'd like to sort of see us start to wrap some things up. And he said there was a lot of money available, grant money available, that we could get for Sewer 6, and he'd like to see us start looking for it. So I had Victor Cornelius come down on Monday to meet with him. He started talking about a lot of EFC money and applying for EFC money, and I knew Dave had done a lot of work on it prior to myself and Jean coming back onto the board, and has done work since, trying to make sure we're still on the list and we don't lose our standing. So I called Dave, and at the drop of the hat, thankfully, he was around, and he dropped what he was doing, and he came down. As we kept talking, then we called John Sansalone at the DEC and asked him if he could come. And at the drop of the hat, John Sansalone came down, and so all of a sudden we went from myself and the grants writer, potential grants writer meeting, to having a meeting on sewer and water with the DEC and with the engineer, and talked about where we could go, what the opportunities were, how we should try to proceed moving forward. And it was a very, very productive meeting. There is money out there, except there are deadlines and timelines. So if we were going to try to move forward, we need to pretty much do it soon. This is the proposal that Victor sent. That doesn't mean it's a definitive proposal. It doesn't mean we can't go back and try to negotiate different terms. However, I just wanted to get at least the conversation going about bringing in a grants writer, about getting started on trying to get, Sewer 6 and our water and sewer needs someone taking care of it, so.
I completely respect Dave's opinion on this, but I would want to see references. I'd want to see his prior experience. I mean, this is a contract. I don't know a thing about this guy. So let's ask him to send us a list of completed projects. And,
Resume.
yeah.
That's certainly not a problem. I do know that he's working for a number of municipalities and has gotten a serious amount of money.
I just want to see.
We met with him, he sent the proposal. I wanted to get it to you, but I wanted to have the conversation, at least, in terms of, if we're serious about bringing in a grants writer, and we're serious about trying to,
Great.
if we're serious about trying to hire a grants writer and start to solve the Sewer 6 problem.
Susan, I'm serious about that. I'm a little uncomfortable that this just feels a little amorphous to me, that, to develop a range of grants and subsidized loans. I just would like to understand a little bit more about what he's promising to deliver and the kinds of things he's done for other.
Oh, no, and we
clients.
could also have him come and meet with us, that's not a problem. But the reason why I asked Dave to come was, again, I wasn't sort of giving this to you tonight for the purposes of approving this contract
I
tonight,
understand.
okay? He had come, I said to him, get me a proposal, and then I asked Dave to come so we could talk about,
Okay.
so. Dave, can you come over?
I saw the proposal, and my comment was that it was pretty vague, so I agree, Kitty.
Okay.
I've worked with Victor before in some Dutchess County towns. He's been very successful. He has contacts, which is, I think, the reason
Half
he's
of-
very
right.
successful. But, yeah, you definitely need to know his resume information
All right.
before
Great.
you make any
Do you
decisions.
know Susan Brown, who has retired from Marist and is now a grant writing consultant for municipalities?
I've heard her name.
Okay. I'd like to invite her to submit a proposal as well. So I would just like to have more than one proposal. And,
I understand that.
okay.
Can you just explain, though, what we were talking about relative to the grants and the opportunities in terms of what we wanted to try to do with Sewer 6, or what we were looking for in terms of the grants?
He thought there were several funds out there that might apply. The EFC fund has a deadline of the end of May, I believe. You have to get in the first application.
just raise this up.
information. Okay,
No, raise it up like this.
You're going to have to,
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
how's that?
Okay.
I believe they have an application deadline in May, and then you can amend that. Last year, I kept the application that's in there going, basically. So New Paltz is still in the mix on that, but they need to do the engineering report and the financial piece of it too. Town's financial part is in there. That's one of them. The other is the rural development, which is the USDA money. Victor believed that the town was eligible for that. I'm not sure of that. I think the town outgrew that, but he would know better than me. There's also some other money, some new incentive money that's coming out of the governor's office that he thought would work. And I know Susan mentioned the EPA's designation of New Paltz would also help. There's different ways to look at Sewer 6, and we're trying to figure out which is the best way here.
Okay. All righty.
To package and sell it, right?
Yes.
So what we could do is I can ask Victor to send his background, his credentials, if you give me the name.
I mean,
Kenny,
if he is proposing to, are you saying that we need to get something in by the end of May? And then this,
We have something in right now that I think is good. Will take us past that point. But
okay,
soon after that, we really need to freshen that up and
okay,
get more information in.
okay.
Just one point, we should engage them on a non-exclusive basis too, so it's clear, so that we can engage anybody we want. That's all. Either party can
Okay.
terminate this agreement
Right.
on 30 days' notice too, so it's,
Right, but then I would think that you wouldn't want to commit to his fee schedule the way it is. You'd rather work with a different type of fee schedule.
well,
If you
and
wanted that type of an
calculating
arrangement,
on a non-exclusive basis,
yes,
non-exclusive means the
non-exclusive.
town is not committed to do everything through him.
Yes, I
Right.
agree.
Okay.
Which would then not warrant this sizable fee.
It's 4.6 hours a week at $100 an hour is what his fee would be. So I don't know what he'd be delivering, and that's what Kitty's asking for. We have to see what he's delivering
Well, we
in
could
terms
also,
of
I mean,
4.6 hours a week, if it's $100 an hour for his work.
well, again, I mean, remember, this was just a proposal, and he said, get back to him with any changes or whatever, so it's just
Right.
really, so I mean, in a sense, we don't even, what he's proposing right now is to hire him on a quarterly basis for a year to, do all sorts of grants, of which a lot of them, he can get paid back through the grant, but we're still paying him up front. We could also say, we just want to basically retain your services for the purposes of a grant relative to Sewer 6 at a cost of X amount of dollars, and just go from there. I mean, we don't have to
Does that
necessarily,
get billed back to Sewer 6 residents?
well, It will.
It will until there's,
All right, well, then I
Grant that's
really
awarded.
want to be sure that
No,
we,
if there's-
that there's money at the end of that
Oh,
road, right? I mean,
well, I mean,
they're
regardless,
they're already, you know,
but regardless, I mean, one of the
We
things I think...
we do need somebody to assist us in this area for sure.
yeah.
I mean, there is, I mean, I had talked with Ken Bond as our bond counsel from the perspective of, we can and probably should, and then we talked with Sedora, with Linda Hannigan, and I talked with Jean, because just in of the self of not even going and getting a grant, but doing a band to pay back the A fund in order to sort of serve the... I mean, there are things that we have to do for the controller's report in of itself to get ourselves in compliance with the fact that the town is covering the cost of Sewer 6, which they shouldn't be, and we need to resolve that. So whether we just, start to just do the financial part, or we wrap it up into trying to take care of the problem, but whatever it is, we need to do something, and we need to do it soon, and, we've been...
Okay, so let's get back to Endeavor, Inc., and
Ask for a resume and some more specifics, right?
How about if I ask for a resume and then also ask for, tell me if this is okay, for a proposal just to work on a grant proposal for Sewer 6 specific?
it'd be fine.
Then why don't we ask,
do you have like a
Everybody else.
specific description of the projects we're looking for that I could send to Susan
yeah, I
Brown?
was going to say that, have it sent to her too.
I don't want you to have to like spend hours developing RFPs or anything, but just,
We have
If-
enough.
okay,
She'll have a good idea of what we're looking for.
great.
Victor also said that this should qualify for a community development block grant. That's $600,000, and that would go a long way to
Great.
help this cause.
Great,
So he was looking at combining several grants.
okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Okay, so the way we're going to work is I'm going to ask him for resume type information. I'm going to ask him for a proposal specific to Sewer 6, and then we're going to take some information, send it to Susan Brown, asking her to tell us how she would, well, I don't think she could, I mean, it's not fair to tell her what he presented to us, so it would have to be explaining to her the situation and letting her
Right.
recommend what she thinks.
Right.
We did something for the DEC that I think it'll be fine for Susan.
Okay.
She'd get a real grasp of it
Great.
from that.
Okay.
If it said that.
Okay.
So,
So we
I
have
don't
to,
think we need a formal motion on that, but I think we do need a motion to adopt the water and sewer rates.
yeah, we do.
Wow.
So would you like to make that?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the sewer and water rates as appeared in the March 14th edition of the New Paltz Times. Just the easiest way to do it rather than go through it line by line.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Do we want to do it under protest? Okay,
Is that
all in
an
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion so carried. Well, thank you, Dave. I'm sorry to keep you here all that. I completely sort of... You like
Where
that.
do you go next?
Okay.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Where do we go next?
We have the, I'll do a quick thing on the web, then we'll get to the concessionaire and the Moriello Pool, and we'll do the village budget, and then we just
Then we'll just adjourn.
try to wrap up, okay? So let me do the website first really quickly. We all know that we have incredible, I think I sent this to
I
you
saw
guys
this.
also.
Saw
And I
this.
made copies just in case you didn't see it. But Kevin's on top of his,
So,
his mail. Okay, so basically, when I went to the Association of Towns, and I went to the exhibits, I specifically went looking for somebody who does municipal websites. That was, I had focus, and I had a mission, and I found the person. There was actually only one person there at the Association of Towns that basically did municipal websites. And so we had him come in. He was here just the day when the snow, he came down from Albany in the snow, went through a number of sites with Carol, showed her a number of things, went through the whole process, and basically, in essence, this company only does municipal websites. They do about 150 municipal websites, if not more. They went through a couple. It's very, very user-friendly. there's a way to like basically get everybody to just be able to get on, do it, whatever. It's not even very expensive. You'll see $6,495, and you could actually spread it over 3 years. He is willing to come down and do a presentation to the board, to the public, so I wanted to get this in front of you. He has, this particular person has only, it's like about the only, they have a really, Carol got very excited because they have something where actually through this, you get an emergency app through your phone. So if there's you get emergency notices that if, town hall is closed, if there's like, like a fire, if there's whatever, that it actually, there's a whole emergency thing that gets tied in. But if we should choose to move forward, we probably could have a new website up in 6 to 8 weeks. And a lot of it's really dependent on just how fast we get the information to him from all the departments in terms of what they want to keep, what they want to transfer, what they want new.
What three employment positions would you select to be the 3 that would have the access to update the webpage?
I haven't gotten that far. I know right now Carol tries to do a lot of it, but it's impossible. But I think a lot of department heads have access to it on their own, right? Or
not under this plan.
No, I'm talking about, I'm asking for the past one.
Right.
I mean, I think Kelly can get in, or is it only the town? Is it only the?
Well, it used to be the clerk.
No, the clerk never.
Yeah.
So maybe part of the problem is that too many people had their hands or the availability to get onto the website,
that
because
wasn't.
it should be a little more restrictive.
No, that wasn't the problem.
Okay.
The problem was it was an unworkable site.
Okay.
And even the administrator who could get on couldn't get on. I mean, quite frankly, Chris's name is not on there, my name is not on there, and every time Carol has tried to post, Rosetta's name is not on there, and every time Carol tried to correct our names, it wouldn't publish.
Gene, how
So-
many
So right now,
designated
all the-
supporter users or supported users do we need?
I don't know how
Well, they
many
give you
supportive users
3,
are in the
I
building.
They have 3 designated supported users. The question is how many we want to allow to have. I
No,
don't think it
but-
should just be one person because it really puts a lot of pressure on one person.
Right, but you only, the 3 are for free on the
Right.
2,500 annual. You want to make a 4th, you want to make every department able to go in and update their own stuff, then
It's 150.
you're paying extra for each head count. So it should be within the realm of 3. Don't you think?
Wait, but I mean, Stacy wants to download building permits. The assessor wants to download the
Download from
annual
where?
assessment from their offices.
No, you're talking about getting it
Forms.
onto the website, you mean?
Yeah,
You're saying they don't want to download, they want to upload onto the site.
okay, they want to
Right,
upload.
but I think
and
that-
they want to,
Right, but I think
Can't
in
that be done
terms of
through one supporter?
setting up the website, that would be all part of setting it up, right? Every single one of Rosanna's permits, the town clerk would have to be part of the setup. The building permits,
Absolutely, yeah.
the assessor stuff, all of these forms would be part of the setup. So that's why I don't think you need
well, the
anything more than 3.
recreation, I mean, the community center, if you want to reserve the community center, you should be able to download that form.
Well, that's not
Right,
matter.
that's, to
So-
me though, that's set up.
Susan,
Yes.
go
But
back
is
and,
that part of what we're getting here?
Yes.
Or
that's what it says.
that is what it says?
Yeah.
That each department,
No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that specifically.
What ends up happening is each department will be a part of establishing what the new website looks like, and each department will sit with him, say what information they want to carry over, what new information they want to put on, what information they want to take off. So that all gets augmented when they set up the site. What I think Gene is talking about specifically is there's 3 administrators that have access to change the information. Right now, it's just one person who can access it.
That's
And
exactly
so
what
right
I'm
now, this
talking
is
about.
this is saying we can pay, the part of this course is for 3 people to. Now, whether or not we want to allow 3 different people
You
to
know what?
access the site, or we just want one person. But that's
Can you
technical for the
tell
moment.
some of the towns that they do, and we could, because I'm sure they do this for everybody, and I'm talking apples and oranges.
Well-
I'm sure that you can download
Yeah.
a form to rent the recreation
Right.
center, and it's not one of these people.
Well, that's what, Kitty, one of the reasons why I like them,
Okay, what towns have they done?
oh, there's 150 towns, it's on the site. I don't have it here, I just, but there's like over 150
So
towns.
virtualtownhall.net.
Right, you just go, you look at that.
You just
Everybody
can't do
can
it
just go
now.
look at
Right,
virtual
right.
town hall.
Now, he's willing to come in and do a
I don't
presentation.
want him to come and Everybody wants to come and do a
No,
presentation.
no, he,
I don't want him to do this.
no, I'm just saying he could. Quite frankly, the way I feel, you know what? He only does municipal towns, he only does
Wish I could get
municipalities.
online.
Only does municipalities. He does
Susan.
nothing else.
Ask him to give us the first year of service for free. Okay?
Can't hurt.
Kevin is in it, she's in me.
Don't.
Why don't you call and
Doesn't-
ask him that?
I will.
Why don't you call and ask him?
I'll call and
Okay, you
ask
call
him.
him tomorrow,
I
ask
will.
him that. All I know is that we just have to do something. It just, because
we have to do something.
Basically, in a sense, why we could do this very quickly too is because they have like 5 prototypes we could take. I don't think we have the need to develop our own new, looking site. We can take a prototype. He knows what, from a municipal perspective, what a site needs, what kind of information needs to be put up, the ability to use it. They
Why
get it.
don't we all look at this website, put this on for next week, so maybe
Yes.
we can approve it then?
I would love that. And then if you want to look at it, do it. We can, whatever information.
Let's
If
do that.
you want to call and negotiate
I'll
the
call,
price,
yeah.
you go ahead and do it. And if we can approve this next week, that would be phenomenal, because then we can just start working on getting our new website up, and we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Right.
So everybody's in agreement?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
and you
Okay.
said that you would call a few of these and just follow up?
Yes, I'll call up. I'll call a
Great.
couple just to make sure that they're happy. But like I said, he was down at the Association of Towns, and there was nobody else there.
That's a good idea. All right.
So,
What's next?
and again, like I said, I like the fact that they do nothing but municipalities. So, okay, so that's that.
Concession.
The concession, okay, we have a situation, we know what happened last year. We got an email from 1 or 2 people asking what's the process, they want to be able to bid for the concession stand, what's our policy? Quite frankly, the way Bill Russell feels, he feels they've had people in the past, they haven't basically lived up to their expectation. He's got somebody he really likes, he'd like to just keep using them, but there are other people that want the chance to bid, and so it is on the agenda for us to discuss how we want to handle this.
I would like it to go out to bid again,
And,
in my opinion.
and do we want, do you want,
Do
should
you
we
want
use-
it to be noticed for a bid, or you just want
I-
to solicit the other proposals?
I want it solicited, yes. I am not comfortable at all just handing it over to,
One person.
yes, exactly.
So you would like all the other people that are interested to submit proposals?
Well, or I would like it noticed in the paper so that people know that they can, because otherwise, the only ones who are going to know that we are currently looking for proposals for the concession stand at Moriello Pool are insiders. If
But-
we don't put it in the paper, Kevin.
Well, it's not necessarily insiders, but people.
Well, there's a
who call.
combination of
Well, that's a-
thoughts
I
here,
I didn't,
right?
it didn't come out right.
I mean, we can also send a slide into Channel 23 saying that we're seeking bids for concession. I mean,
Can we get the
can
paper to do it on page 2 or 3?
But-
That's
but-
not
Just left.
paying.
sure.
Yeah,
But
we can, but
what's our process and procedure for people that bid? We can ignore any bid and choose whichever one we want? Or are we restricted?
Well, it should be a comparison apples to apples. What you're asking for is, we had something we did last year.
They gave us
No.
a menu.
they gave us a menu. Last year
Oh.
was really, why don't we ask, how about this way? If you guys want to go out for bid, which is probably the appropriate way to do it, and have a process in place, which is what people are asking, is why don't we ask Bill to draft up a request for proposal based on what his
Fine.
needs are, and then,
That's fine.
submit it to us by next week.
That's what I was thinking.
We'll look at it. If we like it, then we'll put it into the paper.
It's got to be tailored to what his parameters are
Right.
for what
At the
fits
pool.
there.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? and Bill would be the one who knows the best,
Right.
it should include hours of operation. I imagine everybody's food will be different if all they're going to submit is a menu.
Well, no, what he's got to do, because what happened last time was,
Do you think he prefers that maybe all kids eat are hamburgers and hot dogs?
no, actually what happened last year, which was problematic, we had somebody put in a bid that actually had much healthier food, and it was a really great menu, but the problem was that they ended up needing extensive electricity.
And they
being
couldn't
brought-
afford it.
We couldn't afford the electricity and the
It
problem,
was
so,
electrical upgrades.
right, exactly.
Okay.
So it has to
Well,
be,
maybe with Chris's thing, maybe they could do electrical upgrades when this other thing goes out to bid.
Well, if we need any other upgrades,
Right.
yes, we should get them at the
Right.
same time, right?
Now
so
we're
what- so-
thinking.
okay, so then why don't, before we,
Just a girl.
okay. So why don't, can you come up here? Because you have to talk about the bid.
They're not supposed to cook there, no.
Right.
No, they're
No.
not supposed to cook
But I
at
think
all.
they needed a 220 line or whatever they needed. They
I think
did.
we just do sandwiches and they can't
Well, what
cook.
ended up happening was last year, somebody last year, they wanted to do coffee, they wanted to do a whole bunch of stuff,
Right.
but they needed a
Right, right.
upgraded kitchen, and,
And we couldn't afford it.
Right.
No,
Right,
that's-
so that's
Right.
not happening.
Right.
So
So
I
Chris,
can't find
are you here on the
the,
pool? Or
Yes,
did we
he
move
is.
on to the next one?
well, we are, but so right now, so basically, we're going to ask Bill to do an RFP proposal for what his needs are for somebody to get the,
That would be great.
okay, so I'm going to ask him to have it to us for next week,
Fine.
okay? Okay, so moving on to the, whatever this thing is.
Yeah, whatever that thing is.
Well, so I read your thing, okay? So why don't we put it out to bid? And let's see what happens. I mean,
Are you
not
happy-
making a commitment, let's see what happens with the monies.
I have given Stuart Glenn a copy of the outline of the work that was needed to be done there at the pool. And I seem to recollect there were some numbers attached to that as well. So the village now has in their possession kind of a sheet showing what we're expecting to spend. Now, if those numbers change, let me know, and I'll provide Mr. Glenn with more current information.
Well,
Actually, I think those numbers will probably go down.
Okay.
Speaking with the Streamline Aquatics food, and if anyone's interested.
Could you email me the update so I could send it over to him?
I don't, it was his perception of coming down, looking at the site, that he bidded it, or he gave us a higher price to be safe, but he thought he could do it for, or he thought it could be done between mid-30s and very low 40s.
Okay, so we're going to put it out to bid then, right?
yeah, my only bigger concern is, from what I understand at the village board meeting last night, which I did not see, but Chris watched, there was a discussion about Moriello Pool, that the conversation went back where the town was criticized for mismanaging the pool, and
I can't believe that all the trustees made that statement.
I don't know if all the trustees...
No, there was only one.
Okay, I just want to be clear when we say things like that, that it's,
Okay, so what I
And there was
understand...
no further discussion after that.
okay, so can
All
you
right.
report
I
to
have
me
a
what you heard?
suggestion.
But what happened was, so they never ended up actually discussing this. or-
Okay, but you know what?
So you need to just...
This, as it is, the numbers that you have are not concrete.
No.
So, let's get it out to bid, and then Kevin and Stuart can meet again, and Kevin can, or Stuart can come to the public opening, but then what we have is real. And then Stuart can go to his board and say, capital improvement, 50/50, yes or
Right,
no.
okay.
And
All right,
just so
prior
you
to
know,
us expending the money, and that's like the polite thing to do.
But if
I
they-
left one thing off this by accident,
You did.
a VFD unit.
A VFD, oh, I know what that is, a VFD, yeah.
What it does is it.
Under
it'll
what
save us
section are you
electricity.
putting that?
You're gonna look at this?
Power saver. So, the discussion last night, was it a discussion about the improvements that we need to make?
No, it was just.
Just a general
A
dis-
general that the town had mismanaged the pool, and I just wanted to put out to the board that no one said if it was management, it was our maintenance of the pool, it was anything, but speaking for myself and the crew, we're doing as cheaply as possible to keep things maintained.
Efficiently,
Always watching-
as efficiently
Okay,
as possible.
efficiently as possible.
He's cheaper than me.
I'm shopping at the reuse center for stuff at the
That's
pool.
perfect.
So,
Go
Listen,
down to
she
the-
has everything.
So let me just ask how the board would feel. I mean, we've had this relationship with the village for 20 years, where the town manages it and requests funding from the village to meet us on capital improvements and that kind of thing. What if we trade places with the village? And, I mean, I don't know if the village allocates anything for Moriello in its budget. Do you remember?
I think they believe that, if I remember right from the meeting last night, it was 25%.
Well, that's because that's out of the A fund. We
Okay.
paid for Moriel to pull out of the A fund, so what was being said was, we pay our 25%
Right.
out of the A fund, and
Well,
Really? Someone said that? Oh.
so, what I would, I'm just reading Chuck's report here on what we need out of the sports park, and I'm looking up at Clearwater, and, we've got a rail trail to manage. I've been an advocate for years of just trading with the village and letting them manage Moriello Pool for the next 20 years. And we will put an amount into our budget that would represent our share. How does that sound?
I think that used to be a good idea. But given what's happening lately, I would recommend that we ask them to just transfer their interest to the town and we'll run the pool.
I've sort of thought about that.
Because I have some ideas about it. And
Well, I mean,
I don't want to articulate
Okay.
what I'm thinking right now, only because it will be misperceived.
and
Most likely.
And I'm not adverse to it, okay? I mean, in a sense, I've thought about this a lot too, and, I think in a way it's problematic to then say to the village, you do it, because then they're going to say, well, we're not paying for the town outside the village residents because we don't represent them and whatever.
Well, I mean.
No, they're just
but-
going to charge more. That's all.
But they, no, I mean, they're realistic. You can't charge so much that nobody joins,
Well,
right?
Kitty,
I mean,
you have to look at his history here in making a determination what's really in the general public's best interest. And I think that the town, because the town is bigger and really has a population way across the board, that the town's in a better position to manage the pool. It's managed the pool really well for the last few years. It's managed the pool very efficiently. And I think if it gives up that control, it's going to turn into a fiasco.
Okay, let's
Well,
move on.
Okay, so
I just have to say one thing, which is the town is not bigger than the village. We're about equal,
Well,
right?
except when you include the village residents who are part of the town,
Right,
but.
that's true.
Some people act like the village
Have
residents.
about equal
It is.
population.
Yes,
You're
6-6.
absolutely
you do,
Absolutely.
but the village is part of the town, and so it's a subset of the town.
But there are, the village has its own recreation fund, right? It collects funding
That's true.
to provide. I mean, they have a recreation fee schedule
Well,
for capital improvements and their own recreational programs.
It's not a question of whether they can. They can. It's their motivation to do it, and they don't have it.
But this is a year's notice, right? I mean,
Not really.
Why?
This is for this May.
But no, we're funding it. We're funding it for this season. That's done. But what we're saying is get your budget ready to take it over for 2014.
Well, we're about to go into what we want to ask them to put into their
Right.
budget.
We,
Oh, that's what I
look,
thought.
but we
Okay.
were only
Oh, no, but we
asking them
haven't
for
gotten there. I guess
12,
we're morphing into that?
we were only
Okay.
asking them for $12,500 for all last year.
Right, and we didn't get that.
$12,500.
Well, that's why I think that we need to reverse the
No,
situation.
but if you go from where we are now to where we will be in the future, the $12,500 is going to seem insignificant with respect to all the other problems you're going to have.
Well,
But there won't be our problems.
They'll be our community's problem. They will be our community's problems.
The village DPW is very capable.
I just bear this in mind too, that the only reason this came about is because of confined space laws. So if those
Right.
pumps aren't brought up to ground level, we won't be servicing them. This way,
You
then
know,
the pool won't
I've
be
jumped the
open.
gun. I should not have brought up my
But
ideas.
Barbara
We
can
need
put
to
down-
take this ahead.
As soon as we put chlorine in, it changes the whole game.
all right, that's fine. Let's go.
So we have to go out for bid with this. We have to hope that it
So
comes.
Rosanna, what you got open on your
Susan, give
calendar?
that to Kitty.
And how long do we need?
It can go into next Thursday's paper.
Give Rosanna the microphone.
Okay, and then, but then we should probably give it. Hey, Chris, how long is this gonna take?
The man I spoke to, once they get started, it should take no more than 5 weeks.
5. Oh, that's tight. I was gonna say, if it goes into the paper next Thursday, do the bid opening at like 3 weeks after that.
The work is the quick part, actually, from my understanding with him. It's actually getting the pump, which it's,
Oh, they won't
they're
order?
built
They
to
won't
order.
order until they, okay.
Right.
But I understand we're bidding for it, so the person that you talk to might not get it.
This is correct.
Yeah, but anybody's gonna have it built, right?
What's going on?
Oh, it's your damn phone? Wow.
Ira, can you hear us?
But this kind of a project, is 2 weeks enough to have it advertised? To put together?
From my understanding, there's not a lot of people that could do this work. There's few large companies that'll even touch it. Not because the equipment, but the 8-inch and 10-inch piping, plastic is a problem. Only because of cost and how they have to meld them together, and they're very finicky. So there's a lot of people that won't touch that.
Okay.
From my understanding, this is all,
But just working backwards, because the pool opens up like around Memorial Day, and we have to bid this, we have to get the bid, we have to open it, they have to get in, they have to do the work. But my big concern as we just move backwards is, Kevin, is just simultaneously too, we're gonna go through doing this, but we don't have a commitment yet from the village that they are going to pay half the capital cost.
I know.
So, I mean, we can find ourselves, again, going through this situation, opening it, then all of a sudden the village saying, well, we're not paying for it.
All right, go May 25th and go 5 weeks backwards.
That's April 20th.
Okay, and if you get it into next week's paper, so we would want work to start April 20th
At the latest.
at the latest. So we want work to start the Monday, April 15th. The bid's gonna have to be awarded.
We might have to have a special meeting.
We're gonna have to have a
The
special-
18th and not have it start till,
No.
so.
Well, we can move our workshop meeting up at the week before and not have, I mean, just flip.
Yep.
You know, just flip and do it the second week and have a workshop and cancel the third week. If that's what we need
Is
to
that
do.
date open?
Police commission needs that night.
Well,
Oh,
we
we
can
can't.
have them, well, we can, no, we can have you, no,
So-
we just could flip you to the following Thursday. We can just
No.
flip with you.
All
if we
right,
have
so
to.
wait a minute. If we were to accept the bid
Right.
on the 11th, we would probably want, Dave is going to review your bid?
sure.
Okay.
Did you want to say something, Dave?
really should have a pre-bid meeting with this? And do you have any floor plan at all? Should be some old pool drawings or something.
How he described it to me was moving everything out of the pit, being able to set it up on the floor, on the upper level, on a pump pad for height differences, and moving everything out of that pit except for the main water feed, which comes in as one heavy left. Leaving the equalization tank, that's not an issue. The only reason we had to change the pump is the two suction pumps have no head on them, so we had to replace that. We did that with one pump, with the dual strainer, so we wanted to shut things down. It's turn about, clean one, turn about, back, do the other one. But there's no, I mean, that's why I put in there, and this is my forte at all, you know, just kind of helping out, was that they would have to come down and look at this, anyone who bids on it, and give us some kind of idea, because they also have to get in touch with, I want them in touch with the health department, because this VFD to replace the flow valve could be an issue, so that has to be worked out with them. The Streamline Clog sets up massive pools. We're a kiddie pool compared to what they set up. And I'm just going by his recommendation. He's the only one I get to come down for free to look at it.
Pump size.
Based on what he said, cost, yeah.
I noticed you got 10 to 20 horsepower. You expect that you're going to get 10.
He sized the pump. He's the one who gave me the figures.
Did he give you something besides 10 to 20?
No, nothing. Again, he would, once we put it out to bid, he would have to come down and look and write up a complete horsepower, flow rate,
So let me just ask,
head pressure, all that.
okay, can I just, if we're authorizing you to go to bid, I mean, we can just, if we can authorize you to go to bid based on you and Dave reviewing the bid and getting the bid the way it needs to be in order to put it out, is that a problem? If you two talk and whatever changes Dave thinks you need to make, you know, is,
Yeah, like I said, I just got the guy to come down.
Right,
Jeff
okay.
met me there.
right,
Jeff was gonna do it, you know why.
Right,
you know,
right.
of
I'm
course,
thinking
Jeff had
the
that.
opening
Right.
should
You know,
be on the
happened,
5th if you can accommodate it.
okay.
But
So,
now go
so
back.
we're gonna, so Dave,
That
you'll
only
help
leaves 1
him
week,
with the
doesn't
bid,
Yeah.
and then,
Okay.
okay, so you'll do the bid, so the only thing is, now we just need to,
Unless you want.
Not if the bid opening is the 5th.
It'll go in this week.
If the bid opening in your office is the 5th, why do we need it in the paper on the 4th?
Because they still have up until that day to submit.
Oh,
the
okay.
bids.
All right, but it, so, but how many weeks is it to submit? It's really,
Oh,
it's one,
one.
if it hits the paper on the
so they only have 1 week.
27th. They have a week to pull it together. If we open the bid on a Friday and Dave were to start reviewing them, don't you love the way I do this? On Monday, April 8th, and if we were to switch our meeting to Thursday, the 12th, we can make the decision.
So the only question is.
11th,
The
sorry.
only question is, will the companies have enough time if they only have a week to pull it together and get the bid in?
The companies, I don't know.
They'll have to.
According to,
Be very specific with this.
according to this man, I mean, he looked at it, it was a no-brainer to him. This was a very simple thing to do. It wasn't very, the way I described it, I took pictures of it before, emailed it to him, so he had an idea before it came down. And
Okay,
He just didn't seem like it's, you know,
Okay.
this is.
so we're gonna get it.
And it still
so-
said 5 weeks?
Well, it's not 5 weeks to do the work, it's, the pumps are built to order. So it's, I mean, the work would actually, from what he said, probably take a week to do, piping and all that.
Well, I mean,
It's
at the
to
end of
get
the
the pump.
At the end of the day, if we do this and it all works out, we have to open the pool a week or two later, so be it. Right? Okay, so we know, you two are gonna
Well,
work
we
it
can't
out.
open the pool without it,
Right,
so.
so the two of you are gonna work it out. We've got the dates, right, for when we're gonna do this?
Well, well, that's the thing. Okay, so do we want a 1-week turnaround from the time it hits the paper to the time of the bid opening? Or did we want to
Well, as soon as-
extend it? and make it 2 weeks in the paper, the 2-week turnaround.
Why don't we not do it in the weekly paper the second week? Because you're right, there's only 24 hours for people to see it. So the first week it can go in the weekly. The second week we'll put it for one day in each of the 3 dailies. Like we'll put it in that Monday or something.
What? Uh-huh.
Bingo.
So if we just put it in our weekly paper for 1 week, and then you put it onto that, do we have to do anything more?
That sounds good.
I mean, why
But
would
do you
you
think 1 week window is too short for them to submit the bid? Should we make it a 2-week window? All right. So then,
So it has to go in, you want it opened by the 5th?
no, I did, but isn't today it's nearly the end of March, right? It's the 21st.
Right, so it could get in on the
Well, let me ask you a
28th?
question. Let me ask a question. Does it have to, I mean, why would it go in the weekly paper? This is for companies that are bigger and beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond, I mean, to put it in the New Paltz
I
Times,
know.
what is this getting us? Nobody in New Paltz is going to be able to bid on this. So why aren't we putting it?
Oh, you have to.
Okay, so who's our daily?
We don't have one.
Kingston?
Oh.
No, I thought we changed it
Oh.
to Kingston Freeman. Did you- I mean, I wanted the record, but I thought I thought we changed it back to the Kingston Freeman.
We might have done the record because it has a bigger circulation area.
No, I had actually made it the record last year. I
All
thought you
right, so
guys
let's
changed
do
it
it
back to the
1
Kingston.
week in the weekly, in the official record.
But wait a second, if we have a daily as a official paper also, as a backup, but couldn't we? I'm just trying to think if we have to do it in the New Paltz Times.
I think we probably do.
If it's official, probably do.
Let's do it on Facebook.
Well, if Dave can get it to the, whatever that is that Dave
Yeah.
said, those are the people who are gonna bid.
Right.
Okay, but then,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
All right.
why don't we check what our backup paper is, because I really do think that it got, I know it was a record the first year. I think it got changed to the Kingston Freeman this last time, and, so let's just double check that, but regardless, if you think the Freeman's good, let's put it in the Freeman anyway. You also did the contract thing, and, can we just do the 1 week in the New Paltz Times, and then if we're using the dailies and the contractor, do we have to do a
Good.
second week of advertising, or not necessarily?
I
So then
would
we
do a
could-
second week locally. Right, I mean,
Yes, I mean, we don't
so
have to do
how
this.
often, are we gonna put it in the dailies every day? Are we gonna put it in the Sunday daily, or what do you have any advice on what the best day is to get?
Like in the Saturday and Sunday, the weekend, we do it 2 days in a row, and they don't see
Okay,
people scan.
So have them put it in Saturday and Sunday of the first week.
So we're gonna do the New Paltz Times, because it's our official paper. We're gonna put it in Saturday and Sunday of,
March.
30th and 31st.
they've gotta submit it by,
I think we're going to want to go with well, I did want to do that, but I think we're going to have to go with April 12th.
wait,
So they
why-
have 2 weeks to pull it together.
okay, so if they do April 12th, then what, is that Thursday?
That's a Friday, and then,
Can't they do it, can they have
You
it
know,
to us by the 12th,
what-
the 11th?
Let's not wait for the weekend of the 30th and 31st for the dailies. If it's gonna be out in the weekly on the 28th, let's have it come out in the weekly and the dailies on the 28th and 29th, and then everybody can have the same.
the difference in
Due date of the
the
5th.
readership for the daily is that more people will look at it in the classifieds on the weekend.
Yeah, but these are professional, these are professionals. They're gonna be reading this section to see what's in there. I mean, it's not like they're just sitting around reading their Sunday paper for fun, right? They're looking for stuff
Jobs.
just like this.
All right, I think you're going to get more visibility on Saturday and Sunday, but
So
whatever you
is the-
decide.
Is the day that we want them to come back in on the 5th? Is that what we're,
Right, but that's only a 1-week window, and
So we're moving
I
it to
think
2
we
weeks.
need to make it a 2-week
oh,
window.
okay, well, then in that case, you got your weekend back.
Okay.
Oh, I got,
Okay, so we do the weekend, but my only question is, if we, if you had the bids in on the 11th, which is the Thursday, and you opened in them, we could talk about it that night. The only question is,
you know what?
know what the village is doing.
I don't need to talk about it until after Dave has looked at them. So I'm trying to afford Dave the time to review the bids that come in, because he's going to be able to look at it with a far more critical eye than I am.
In 15 minutes.
Well, that's why I was giving him days,
So maybe we can do it Thursday night.
because I wasn't trying to abuse him. So, wait, you still want to do Thursday the 11th? Because I was thinking, do the bid opening on the 12th, hand them over to Dave on the 15th.
It's going to delay it a
and we
week.
have a meeting on the 18th, and that's when we'll, okay, so now count the weeks. So I have 5 weeks. If it's authorized on the 18th, they will start work on the 22nd.
So it's a weekly, you originally wanted them to start.
Okay, so then,
Yeah.
but then we're not open on Memorial Day.
Come on, guys.
Thursday, please, let's open the bid Thursday. Dave will review them
Which
Thursday.
Thursday?
The Thursday of our board meeting.
The 18th?
Yes, no,
We move
The
it a week
11th
early.
means a special meeting, it's not our regular
If we move it a
meeting.
week earlier, we would be moving it a week earlier and canceling the 18th, or keeping the 18th.
I can't
canceling the
come
4th.
I cannot come on the 11th, so if you're going to have a full meeting on the 11th, just
Right.
know that I
I'm
let's,
approving
oh,
can't
is
be
it
there.
the 11th a Thursday?
Why don't you
Let's
just have a
open them
very small
Thursday.
special meeting on the 11th and just do this and have your regular meeting on the 18th? Because unless, you know,
Okay,
you want to give me a night off.
Then you have to do it before the police commission.
Well, no, well.
We can
if
do
just
it in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is going to take 5
Okay,
minutes.
we can worry about it next, I mean, right now, let's just get it in the paper. My bigger concern is that once we put the bid out, that somehow we get a commitment from the village that they're going to do this with us, so we know where we're, if once we open the bids and we want to accept the bids, we know we have a partner.
I got it. And I'll be able
So-
to tell Stuart we have everything in place for this now,
Okay,
I think.
okay, so why don't we get the bid done?
Why don't we stop talking about this?
And next week we can
Because
start
the
going.
conundrum is 1 week's advertising or 2 weeks to pull
Let's
your bid
open the
together.
bids on Thursday, the 11th. That's it.
We open the bids on Thursday, the 11th.
Gives
and we-
everybody up until Thursday, the 11th to submit a bid.
And Dave will make sure he's.
And we
got time
started
to come look at
advertising
them.
when? On the 28th? So how many days is that? Is that 14?
Pretty close.
Yes,
Okay.
yes it is.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, so you're going to do the bid with Dave, you're going to get it to Rosanna, Rosanna's going to get it to the papers, it's going to be on the 28th, blah, blah, blah. We're going to open it on the 11th,
Listen.
and then we might schedule a special meeting on the 11th to
Take
potentially
5
adopt
minutes,
it, but we can do that later.
Good.
50 minutes.
Right?
Got all that, Rosanna?
Okay?
Good.
Okay,
I need a permission from the board too to send Barbara to a couple of schools to keep up with her license.
so be it, tell us what it is, we'll make the motion and we'll,
Is that on the agenda?
it's not on the agenda, I'd like to add to the agenda, would somebody like to amend the
Is this in your
agenda?
report? If it was in your report, we can say it was
It
part of
was-
your report.
This came about,
Nonsense.
actually today. The classes are filling up.
When are the
Okay, so would
classes?
somebody like to add to the agenda that,
One is, next month, I wrote it down, I don't remember.
why
offhand.
don't you look, I'm too tired to look.
What is the final bill?
703.
$730.
How many classes?
And this is for
A one-day,
certification?
well,
Certification
here,
for water.
a one-day conference on September 25th, 2013, a two-day conference from April 16th through April 18th, 2013, and then a 5-day luxury vacation. No, and then another conference, 5/20 through 5/23. I move that we amend the agenda to include
these 3 items, which essentially authorize Barbara to attend the 3 conferences, one on the 3 conferences as I previously described.
Second.
And are they, it's all water and sewer? So I guess it comes out of the water and sewer lines?
Yes.
So we're approving the amendment. Everybody in favor of the amendment?
Okay. I'm sorry, excuse me?
Is everybody in favor of the amendment
Did we had a motion
to
and
the
a second?
agenda?
Do we have a motion? and a
Yes, we
Yeah.
had a second.
And your, yeah,
And the motion itself?
and your
And
motion.
the motion
All in
itself.
favor?
Absolutely.
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have to
Okay.
authorize them to put this out for bid?
Chris, could you make sure that
Yeah.
Roseanne's
we
copy?
did.
Yet, no, we didn't. So I make a motion authorizing the highway superintendent, in consultation with the engineer, to put out the bid specs for equipment repair and compliance for Moriello Pool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
This could be.
I'm
sorry.
fried.
We're all fried, okay? So now, but this is a conversation we do have to have, and then we're almost wrapping up. The village is going through their budget process right now. Last year, the board had directed me when I did the budget to do certain things. We chose not to do those for the purposes of trying to work together for consolidation, but the village is going through their budget now. So if there are things that we want to ask them to put into their budget, we should be asking them now because they're doing their budget right now. So I wanted to bring that conversation up. I gather one of the things we want to ask them to do is put money in for parades.
Put money in for parades and give us a list of the parades they're sponsoring for the successive year. 2 is to contribute to any operating deficit that results from the operation of Moriello Pool. Their contribution to the deficit would be 25% of the deficit.
And can we estimate,
Last
I
year's
think it was
deficit was
15,000.
12,000. Last year's deficit, 25% of last year's deficit equaled $12,500.
Now, I do know, I mean, I don't have a problem doing that. I mean, some of them say, well, we should just raise the rates, but
In addition, the village should be responsible for 50% of the cost of all capital improvements.
well, technically that is...
And emergency repairs.
Well, technically that is
the case?
the case.
Well, I
So-
just want to, if we're going to ask them, we might as well just explain what we're asking for in total.
So,
Can you find the old contract, Susan? Can you find one in town hall?
For Memorial Pool?
Yeah, because,
it expired December 2012?
right, and I thought a contract was in place until a new one was put into place.
No, this one specifically expired December 31st.
I think it's right.
Oh.
That year went by pretty quickly, Gene.
What
I
year?
don't understand how we can have, I just don't understand how we can own something together, but then not have a contract about it, you know.
Okay, so what's number 3 going to be?
Well, you have parades.
I've made, let's put it this way. I've made 2 recommendations. Let's see if everybody else comes up with 2.
Well, I made mine earlier, and,
Well, you're free to make further recommendations, Kitty.
I mean, I have felt for a long time that it doesn't make sense for the town to manage recreational facilities in the village. We have a huge shared community to provide recreation for, and we have 2 governments.
I know.
So why doesn't one government provide recreation for residents within one boundary, and the other government provide recreation for all of the residents outside of the boundary? I mean, we are making Clearwater and Field of Dreams available, the rail trail, to everybody, town and
Yes.
village residents, and the community center is a huge part of our budget. Yes, the village contributes 25% to those things, But
teen scene, which is
the youth
in the
center-
village.
There you go. So, you know, and frankly, I think the town is not I mean, we heard from that lady earlier today, we're not providing the senior citizens in our community with the recreational opportunities they deserve. And I think we're spending far too much on a swimming pool in the village.
Well, I think we just need to organize the senior recreational activities a little bit better. In terms of the recreation that we offer, I mean, really, we don't offer that much.
I know, and it's a shame.
And
we should be
most
doing
of the
a lot
recreation,
more.
most of the recreation that's done is subsidized through private contributions to various leagues, whether it's a baseball league or football league or whatever. I think beyond recreation, though, we have to make some other recommendations. Does anybody have any?
I would like to enhance the programs that are going on at the community center, and I would like the village to contribute to that.
Okay, so let's put that as number 4.
I mean,
Now,
you know,
does the
we're-
village have a facility for those kinds
No.
of events? So maybe we should offer to share that with them, and maybe that would encourage them to contribute
However,
for their seniors as well.
But their seniors are our seniors.
That's right. Their
Well,
seniors are
that's
ours.
true, and that's true. And that's the problem you have with this overlap. Okay, as Susan described it, you know, in the village, you're a member of the town in the village. If you're in the village outside the town, you're only a member of the village outside the town. So it's crazy.
Well, I mean, I think it's just been ironic listening to people in the village say that they feel they're suffering under taxation without representation.
Well, I've heard that argument.
But what was, I think, illustrated tonight is that the village can implement policies like parades, and taxpayers outside of the village pay for those.
So your remark is this, that the village can authorize parades, the bulk of which is subsidized by people that live outside the village.
Well, absolutely, when the assessed value is 75%.
So
You know what,
that's
you
your
really
point.
need to, no, you need to stop, okay? Because we never had this problem with the parades before, where the village and the town, even though the village authorized them, they worked with the police department, and then, I don't know when this thing with the permit fee and all that came in, but I was over at the village, and the village was like, people were fuming, okay? The problem we have today is very different. We all know why. We all know how it happened. That's the problem we're faced with today. Let's not keep rehashing old crap.
Well, I just have to say that the reason it worked so well in the past was that we didn't break down and itemize the police budget. That's why. I mean, nobody actually said, why is your overtime the way it is? And you know, then Joe and the commission sat down and broke it down and said, this much is going to Main Street at 3 o'clock on Saturday morning. This much is going to overtime for parades. And we began to get a sense of why the overtime is
You
what
got
it
a
is.
sense for where the services were
No,
being
I've always known where the
delivered
services
in
were. The
concentration. Now,
thing is, you remember how this happened?
can I ask you
on
a
an
question
attitude?
historically? Historically, can somebody please recite what happened? Because I know originally the police budget was split between the town and village.
Well,
So,
one time there was a town police and a village police, as I understand it, right? There were 2 police departments.
Yeah.
At one point, they got merged, and then there was one police department that was split 60% the town, 40% the village, if I remember correctly. And then from what I
Wow, I was never aware
keep
of that.
going.
And then, from what I understand, at some point, if I remember correctly, and I don't know Ira, if I'm wrong, that the supervisor at the time, it was 60-40, 60% the town, 40% the village, and then at some point the town supervisor said to the mayor, I want to split it 50-50, otherwise the town's taking over the police department, and the mayor said, congratulations, it's yours.
Boy, the
town-
mayor was smart in that transaction, wasn't he?
Isn't that what happened? And then the town all of a sudden ended up, and then the town took over the entire police
Wait, your
department?
recollection, this happened in 1980.
Yes, but it has been discussed, Kitty,
Many a
many
time.
years now.
Yeah.
And every time something comes up about the police department, this thing is rehashed exactly the way Susan said it. So when I say my recollection,
Yeah.
it wasn't there, but this discussion has always been the same, with the same figures. with the
Right, but,
same-
you know, the thing is, we don't know how, I would love to see the document that says.
We need the minutes. That's
Well, you
all,
know what,
minutes.
I mean, regardless, it doesn't matter, because the point is, no matter how it happened, the town is stuck with the police department, the town is stuck with recreation. You know, we found the minutes, I mean, in one of the contracts for something, it's like, the village decided to get out of recreation and the town's going to pay for it. It was just that simple. It's in one of our contracts for some recreational thing in 1992 or something, or 82 or whatever. The village decided to get out of recreation and the town picked it up. Okay, well, maybe it was with the pool or whatever. It doesn't matter. Right now, the town is paying for all of these services, end of story. And so,
In terms of documentation, Kitty, I've asked the village many times
Right.
for FOIL, and they say there is none. I'm just
I-
stating to you
okay,
what they
so
I
Just-
think you're probably right.
Minutes.
But
Anyway,
whose minutes?
It's in the minutes.
it doesn't matter. The town pays for the police no matter how it happens.
I would like to see how it happened. I really, I
Okay.
mean, you know, anyway.
We
but that
could
is
actually
history.
have Rick Remschneider come, because I think he remembers, because I think his father was the mayor, right? So we could have Rick,
So-
But anyway, so we're asking the village to sponsor parades, we're asking the village to contribute to the operating deficit for Memorial Pool. We're asking the village to start to give money towards the community center.
We contribute $1 million towards police costs. How's that?
It's about this.
Are those rose-colored glasses?
But isn't that the way it should be?
No, maybe the bar owners should check. The
Well-
people who are profiting.
Well, that's going
From that
to,
business.
right now, right, we agree, and we are going to be setting up a meeting with, Ira had asked a long time ago to the assessor about the Article 19, which has to do with the ability to do the reassessed value in order to start billing the people who demand the services, and Lori has followed up. It seems that this person from the state is coming down to Dutchess County to talk to the Dutchess County legislature about doing this exact thing. She sent us the date, I'll get it to you, so we could all go there, but in the interim, she's also wanted to know if I wanted him to come here, and I said, absolutely. So she's trying to coordinate with him to come here to talk to our board about how we can start to implement this instead of talking about it, but actually do it. So we will start to work on that, but in the interim, the village is doing their budget right now, and what are we asking the village that we
what
want
is-
in their budget?
Do we have an idea of what the cost of the A fund, the A line is in the police budget?
You're talking about current
The
and
evening-
retirement, all
No,
of the
the-
medical?
The entire.
The shift, no, the A
She's talking about the shift for the.
Oh, the A
The
line.
shift that's from whatever Thursday night until
Well,
Sunday.
I remember talking to the chief about that, and it's staffed at a higher...
Do you remember?
That's the D line.
Oh, it's the D line? I thought it was the A
Well,
line.
Well,
It's a higher man rate. I think it's 4 to 5 officers on a shift versus 2.
Can you come up and use the microphone?
Why don't
I
you
think the
talk
reason we have
about...
the microphones is for you, Ira.
Ira, why don't you first explain how a normal shift is staffed, and then how certain lines are staffed differently and the reasons for that?
Right. Your normal line has 3 officers on it.
basically, plus or minus whatever has to be done. There are 3 shifts, 3 lines.
Before you move on to the shifts, the 3 officers, is that a sergeant and 2
It
patrolmen?
doesn't include the sergeant.
Okay, so 3 patrolmen.
Each line, by contract, has to have its own sergeant.
Okay, so go ahead, move on to the next one.
Okay. Then what was created was the so-called D line. That is a special line for over the weekend to have extra officers on for the village, for the bars and all of this other thing. It was manned by 1 or 2 regular officers, and they try to man it with part-time. The commission recommended that we remove the D line, which they did. Now, they still have part-time officers, but we don't have the regular officers on the D line anymore. We're able to shift them to regular patrol. Now, what they do is, when available, they'll bring in extra officers on part-time to cover the bars. And that D line was specifically for Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday to cover additional on the A, B, and C lines, to cover extra personnel on those lines for those particular periods of time.
But it's no longer called the D line?
Well, basically, the contract talked about a D line, but the new contract didn't include it. It's no longer.
We don't really
But
necessarily have a D.
Here's what I want to know.
No,
I
we
wanna
don't have
know
a D line
We don't have
per
a
se
D,
anymore.
we don't have a D
Your-
line anymore except for the dog.
But
So the dog does, actually, there's a specific D line just relative for the dog.
the typical shift has 3. What does the Thursday through, is it Saturday night or Sunday
Sunday
shift?
It's through Sunday morning.
What's that shift composition, number of officers?
It's usually, at this point, with the 3, a minimum of 5.
Okay, so 2 more,
2 more at least.
2 to 3.
Depending upon what's going
More.
on. If you have, let's say, a St. Patrick's Day weekend or something along that line, it's going to be more.
So what Kevin's trying to get at is the extra police that are needed to keep the downtown safe from Thursday till Sunday is an additional cost to the town. The town outside the village residents are paying 75% of the cost for a police force that's specifically dedicated to the downtown. And that's what Kevin's trying to get at, I think.
The majority
What I'm trying, yeah, I'm
of
trying to get
the
at,
majority of that weekend, the regular officers, if there's enough regular officers, they have to spend the majority of their time in the downtown area, which means they don't go out to the outer parts of the town. They
So-
don't do, I mean, they're still on patrol, but they, you have the DWIs or whatever. You'll have a car parked next to one of the bars, to try the thing. So you're tying up your regular officers on that line, for those 3 days, because they have to be more accessible. I mean, for fight breaks out at one of the bars or whatever, they're right there. It stops them from.
Okay, so Kevin, would you want, Ira can give us the cost. He knows that he has everything broken down. He's got, to the T. So you just basically want me to include in the letter to the village that we would like the village to pick up the cost for the extra police that are needed, the extra
Can I-
police that are
okay,
needed.
so just, yeah, but, so I understand it. There's 3 shifts a day, right? So when does that shift, the enhanced shift start?
It starts on Friday night,
Not Thursday?
night?
Thursday.
Thursday.
I'm sorry,
Right.
I misspoke. I
Thursday
apologize.
night?
It starts Thursday night and ends Sunday morning.
So is there 1 shift Thursday, and then 3 shifts Saturday and Sunday, and then, 1 shift Thursday,
There's 1 shift Thursday,
3
1 shift Friday, 1 shift
Saturday,
Saturday,
and one on Sunday?
And 1 on, those are regular shifts,
It's
regular days.
Thursday,
The
it's
D
like
line is extra.
10 to 6 or something.
Right.
But Thursday,
Each of those
Friday,
nights.
Saturday, going into Sunday
Going into
morning.
Sunday.
So if you had 1, 4, 7, 8 shifts, right? 8 shifts times,
3
Yeah, it's
shifts.
2 officers.
It's 3
No,
shifts,
Thursday
extra
night,
officers
Friday
on
night,
3
that
shifts,
so-called
2
D line.
officers
You
each.
have
6
2
bodies.
to 3. You have 2 to 3 more per shift. So if there are
Let's say
8,
shift,
2.5.
per shift.
so
Sorry,
let's
I
say
thought you said 5.
No,
2.5,
per shift.
just to come up with a number. So if you have
Right, I thought you said
2.5,
5 officers in total, and regular there's 3.
that's
Normally,
correct.
there's 3. Over
A
the
minimum of
weekend,
2
there's a
more.
minimum of 5.
Okay.
So
Which the
you,
extra officers are brought in to cover specifically the bar problem over the weekend.
so you have 20 more on those times, 20 more.
But it's also not, it's a partial shift that they use, that they can use part-timers for, because it doesn't have to be a full 8-hour shift.
But can we get an average estimate from you and Chief Snyder?
Absolutely.
About what that particular overtime
Oh,
or extra?
I've got the figures in my computer.
All right,
That's
so
why I
let's-
said that if
yeah,
Ira
so
can
let's
give me the
get those
cost.
figures.
We know what you're trying to get Ira to, Ira knows what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So we want to basically take the cost for the extra police to keep the downtown of Newport in the village safe for the village government to pick up that expense.
Oh, absolutely, no.
And you'll get me that number.
Yeah, that number I got.
Great.
I mean, I just haven't generated
Okay.
it, but I have the
Okay.
ability to.
Could we
So-
get it in a day or two so that it can go in Susan's letter?
What's today? Today's Thursday?
Yeah, I won't do it before Monday because I won't be
Okay,
here
I can have it
tomorrow,
by
so,
Monday. I
Great.
need, because I gotta
yeah.
Okay.
And you and I can work on that,
tweak it a
okay.
little bit.
Okay, is there
We don't
anything?
have the new salaries or anything, so I'm working with the
Right,
last
well-
figures we have.
You know, within a couple of $100,000.
Right. Is there anything else that,
I'll email it to you, Susan.
anything, I'm sure you'll come in on Monday. Is there any other things that the town feels that we should be asking the village to incorporate into their budget? I mean, we could go back and also, again, ask whether they do it or not, but the 25% for the rescue squad, similar to like how we do the fire contract,
Oh,
which they're allowed to do, so
Right.
we'll do that again, because that's legal.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I mean, and not to offend the people at Woodland Pond, but, you know, when you look at the data from the emergency service provider, the college, Woodland Pond, and I think the nursing home are the biggest users of the emergency services. And Woodland Pond's in the village, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
that's why the village rate, that's,
Yeah, I think we really have to spend more time on those to properly allocate those costs among the groups of people that are using them the most. I mean, I know that the community as a whole should subsidize up to a certain point, but when you have the numbers that you have from Woodland Pond, there should be an additional charge.
That's why pilots are such a
know,
bad
it's
idea.
terrible.
I do know that the rescue, I mean, unfortunately, when they negotiated the Woodland Pond pilot, the rescue squad had commented in one of the town gal meetings, you were there, Ira, I think, they knew up front that they weren't getting covered in the Woodland Pond pilot, so it should have never been agreed to if they knew that the number, you know, that the number to cover the ambulance calls,
Susan,
but...
It
Yeah, I know-
doesn't work like
I
that
know
in
that.
the negotiations.
know.
I mean, it's so frustrating.
I understand
It's not a true negotiation.
Excuse me,
I mean-
Susan,
What?
in fairness to the ambulance corps, when that pilot went in, the people who built Woodland Pond told the ambulance corps, because of the facility, it was a medical facility, they would only be having maybe 3 to 4 calls
Right.
a month.
Right, because they have a hospital on site.
Right.
Meanwhile, their calls right now are up to 25
Yeah.
plus a month.
Oh, I'm not criticizing the rescue squad by any means, but they had actually said in the town gal that they somewhat knew that it was probably was never going to be enough, that's all. And so then, remember, I had sort of said, you know, that's what we were trying to do with Park Point, to not let that happen. You know, that we were trying to make sure we covered the costs, you know, so we got the right information out to make sure that a Woodland Pond didn't happen.
At our meeting,
Right.
the rescue squad, talking about Park Point, we went over it, and they're gonna do a schedule similar to the one that Gene saw. They're gonna run up that kind of schedule, so that we can merge the police schedule and their schedule, and the fire department schedule, they'll do whatever they're doing, so. we
Okay.
can involve them.
All right.
Anyway, any more that anybody wants me to add to the letter that I'm writing to the village? Okay? Is that
Well-
enough, or do you want to?
I guess we're managing Moriello Pool for the rest of our lives.
I don't know. I'm not,
I'm surprised that my idea wasn't greeted with cheers and cries of what a,
you know what,
Good idea.
Kitty, actually, I don't necessarily, what, Chris, you like it?
it's just, it's not,
Well, you know what I think we could do, but let's take it to the next step, because I see, I happen to, again, on one level, my feeling is, I don't disagree with what Kevin's saying, but again, it's once again the town taking over more and more responsibility and stuff, so, but I understand why you want to do it. We could do, Kitty, to say that we want them to take it over, but there's going to have to be certain guidelines that are put in place in order to protect the town residents outside the village.
And you'll never get there.
But no, I mean,
No,
the concern is that the village might raise the rates to such a prohibitive height that town residents won't feel they can afford it. In which case, they'll go to the county and the pool will shut down because it doesn't have enough revenue. I just don't think anybody would make that kind of impulsive and...
But they already do it in other categories.
I think that but only because it's part of our budgetary culture that it works that way. And I think that if we were to say to the village, you are going to manage the recreational facilities within the village, we're going to put $50,000 in the town budget as our contribution towards it. But it's time for you to take over the management of that, because we have a community center, a teen scene, 5 baseball fields, and the Field of Dreams to run.
But Kitty, if you look at what we're doing right now, the total deficit is 50,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
We asked them to kick in 12.5, right?
And they said no.
So we were asking them to kick in 12.5 to bring their all in, including their contribution in the A fund, up to 50%. So no, the deficit was 45,000, right? Or 60,000.
Yeah, 60.
Right.
60,000. So if you think about it, I mean, the $60,000 deficit for the number of users there, if you were to break that down, it's not a big number for delivering that kind of community service. So I'm more concerned about the continuity of what we have there and not having that somehow closed,
But don't you
broken.
think that within, I mean, if we make this offer this year and the village DPW works with our building and grounds for this year, that it can be a seamless transition?
You're assuming that the direction they are given is appropriate direction. Do you follow me? You're assuming that the DPW is going to get the correct direction and instruction
we'll
about...
find out at budget time.
It's
right?
not just that. It's not just the budgetary. It's how they're directed to approach the pool.
Well,
There's the other, go ahead, Jean.
I was just going to say, can I have a motion to adjourn?
No, we didn't do, we have to do the warrants, prepays, and,
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm just going to make a motion to turn over management of Moriello Pool to the village for the year 2014 and see where that goes. I do not appear to have a second.
I need to have more discussion with you about this.
Okay.
I would
How-
agree.
How about we,
Not at the table.
I will put
do
into,
vouchers.
when we do the village.
Let's do the vouchers,
When we do
please.
the village, but when I do the letter, I can say that we'd like them to contribute, same way we asked last time, but that we reserve the right to continue conversations about how we want Moriel Pool to be operated in the future.
Okay.
Well, we have that right.
I know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So,
warrants?
Warrants,
Oh, well,
Can we do that,
have a
or-
request from our recreation department in our,
we do?
yes, to come up with rules and policies for the Field of Dreams. If you read his department report.
Oh,
Can we ask him for a recommendation on that, since it's his department?
I mean, barely. You know, I'm really feeling uncomfortable about how we diminish our recreation staff. And
I think you're really disappointed in our inability to enhance
yes,
our recreational offerings. So it's really a little different.
right. But
So we can talk about ways we can do that. And I'm sure you have ideas, and I have some ideas, but it really, it takes energy, and it takes people that want to commit their time and energy. And I have some ideas about that. I want to discuss. I'll discuss it with you tonight.
okay, so the rules and policy he's asked us to develop, we're going to go back to him.
I can't imagine trying to develop rules and policies without knowing specifically what he knows. So
You know what, I think what we should do is, I mean, honestly,
Well,
we-
dawn till dusk, and, you know, what are the hours that it's open?
he should tell us what exists
why
now.
don't Kevin, I mean,
I'll talk to
honestly,
him. I'll
I was
talk
about
to
to
him.
say that I just sort of feel
I'll
like in
talk to
some
him.
ways that none of us are really spending a lot of time on recreation because we're all so busy with so many things, and, you know, I know there's only so many
I'll
things
talk
we
to
could do. So I'd be more than happy to come
I'll
with
talk
you,
to him.
set up a meeting
Yep.
with him, talk
Let's
about
do it.
senior recreation,
Yep.
recreation in general, but I think, you know, the time has come where we have to sit down with Chuck and have a conversation because it's not fair.
Correct.
So why don't we do that and get back in
Great.
terms of how to proceed with that?
Great.
I mean, I think part of it's also he wants a little bit more in terms of behavior of, they had some problems in terms of how parents behave and, you know, and so,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
so we'll,
Warrants.
Kevin and I will set that up. So how do you want to handle it? Because, Gene, there were some warrants that didn't get a second person to look at.
Couple.
I'm assuming the ones she gave us are then the
Kitty,
ones
your initials were on most.
Really? It was a very small stack.
I thought it was two. There were a total of 3 piles. I think yours had 2, didn't
I
it?
did one part.
Just 1 pile?
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's funny with a key.
Well, did you have any real concerns, Kevin, with any of them?
No, I only did 1/3 of them.
No, I know, but I want to know if he, because he did all of them,
I
if
just,
he had,
I just had a concern about one. I spoke to Chief Schneider about that tonight, but I want to talk to Gene about it a little bit more.
so do you want to approve everything but without that?
Well, the one I didn't sign, so I didn't approve it.
So we could pull that.
I mean, looking
Did
through,
Kitty sign it?
No,
no.
no.
Looking through here, I believe these are only the ones that I signed.
It's not,
Oh, I don't know, the packet's up there, I know she left it.
it's not very thick.
And, well, true. So, I mean, there were some that I thought it was important that we get done, like Ray Schulke and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, his is in here.
I will make a motion to approve the warrant in the amount of, we have some transfers as well.
No,
Well,
it's
this
2
is-
years.
Yeah, but this is,
2013 and 2012.
2 separate amounts.
These you're still paying out of December.
but is,
Oh, so, but we've got to do those separately. That's
Yeah,
the-
you have to, I think you have to state them separately, right?
And this equals this?
No,
these are just transfers?
this is irrelevant to this. Can I see your transfer sheet? Because I was
The 212 will close out, this expenditure will close out 212, I gather.
Well, I'm comfortable making a motion for the 2013 warrant in the amount of $207,783.08.
Kevin, you want to second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried.
2012,
Let me just look at this for a second. A lot of it's really the water and sewer. Most of it's water and sewer. What's the A fund, the 89,000? I think, that 89,000, I think was social services. That was the social
Yeah, that was
service
a
bill.
big number,
That
social
was just- That was,
services.
that the 2012 is finishing, is closing out social services.
That was a big number.
And that was basically, we wouldn't approve it until, and then Jeff made the phone call and spoke and told me to authorize it. But meanwhile, Gene, we wanted, we authorized it, but we reserved the right to try to fight it, and you and Jeff are going to have to do a little bit more research,
Yeah,
but
no, I couldn't believe those numbers. I don't even know where they came from.
the 89?
Carol sent me an email with the numbers in it.
Yeah. Well, but it's because one drug rehab for one
Yeah.
person is $9,000 a rehab, and I think that one particular family's had like 3 or 4, one family alone for drug rehab,
It's not,
it's like $9,000 a shot, and
a
it's...
month.
So that's what that is the social services, which I will point out, there was only $60,000 in the budget for 2012 for social services, and the bill is 80 plus 60, $130,000.
So seriously,
Mm-hmm.
I would pursue the county,
Yeah.
and I would
Well,
pursue
Carol, I
the-
talked to Carol about it. She's looking into it, too.
Well,
Yeah.
Carol did look
No,
into
no,
it. You're gonna-
No, I'm really, really frustrated because,
County doesn't give you any detail.
no, they won't,
No.
because they HIPAA. But who provides the social worker who comes down here and sits here on Friday and registers the people? We don't employ a social worker at the town of New Paltz. So whose social worker comes here? The county's. So all those thousands on drug rehab, they should have been set up for public assistance. We should have had to absorb it.
Well, Carol
Well-
has a theory on that, too. Did she share that with you?
I should have referred.
Okay. Then we should not be paying the excess number.
All I do know is we did not pay it. We had to,
Now,
we had to settle it because otherwise they were going to hold our sales tax.
Exactly.
And they weren't going to give us sales tax. Jeff called up and spoke to the person at the county. Jeff said to me at one of the last board meetings, and he said it here at the table, that he said that he spoke to them and that I should authorize the payment and get it out, but that we should pursue trying to figure out if some of that money should be paid back to us. But I'm just telling you that's what that number is,
all right.
okay? And then the rest of it is really basically water and sewer, right? And I think that probably got done when the auditor came in, and they did the water and sewer to close out 2012 for the annual report. So that's probably...
This, I don't think this is all the vouchers, Kitty. It's not.
I don't think it is either.
No, because I'm looking through, I don't
So,
see some of them.
So the 207,000, I think we're fine on. It's not by any means a complete.
The rest might be up there.
And actually, there were a lot in my pile that were finishing. Yeah, I think actually some of these in the 2012 column are ones that I signed.
They're right up there. Do you want me to go get them so you guys could look at them?
Sure.
Kip, would you mind just running, they're just, it's 'cause it's hard for me
But,
with
you
my...
know,
Not a
it's going to be
problem. I'll do
very
it.
No,
hard.
I got it. I got
They're
it.
not going to, they're here. Actually, they're here.
But I'm just saying the piles of the vouchers are up there. She's got them, and I think she's got it broken out into 3 piles. She left them up there. We're really lucky that there was $100,000 left over in medical benefits for some reason that was able to be used to compensate for social services and the retirement, and because remember, we got hit with another, what, 220,000 with the state retirement? No, it's on the right. It's no, it's not.
Yeah.
She did leave them out there, but then she packed them up. But
You need a cane.
yeah, tonight, I was getting better, but now tonight I'm not in good shape again.
So, I don't know about these 2012s. I don't know if they, I mean, I'm assuming she wouldn't have put them out here unless somebody had signed off on them.
Well, I think the vouchers that I reviewed were for both years.
I remember some of them being for 2012. Well, I mean, I'll make a motion to sign, to authorize the supervisor to sign, to pay the warrant for 2012 in the amount of $218,198.48, assuming that I signed the vouchers that would enable that.
And you did.
I signed all the vouchers except one.
Okay, so we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And if not, Kitty, maybe you can come in tomorrow and look at them.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, do you want to do the transfers, or do you?
Yeah, I took it from you.
Okay, so in order to close out 2012, so the auditor can finish up, hopefully getting the
Is
annual
this
report done.
final, Gene? Final?
This should be final. I was told it was final.
Unless something trickles in, right?
But I'm not going to lay my life down on it. But I was
So,
told it was final.
The very top line, the transfer for the budget for personal services to the supervisor personal services, is that the stipend?
Probably that, but more, because it wasn't that much money.
So,
But I think,
since I voted against the stipend, I think we should separate that out, because I'm not going to be voting for that. So I think you should have a separate vote on that.
What do you want
and then
to,
we can do the rest.
Did we do buildings and grounds? Did we do court roof? Court roof.
not this year, I don't think.
Well,
Did we?
The thing, where
Oh, no.
$4,400 got charged to it. Court
Well, we
roof.
did, the court roof, we got covered by insurance.
Yeah, but that's for last year.
Well, we're
Well,
doing,
it's for 2012.
we're
not
doing
2011.
actually,
Right, but we never, I don't think we took care of it until.
yeah, that was
last
Bob
year.
Blackcomb was still
We
here.
never paid the bill.
All right.
So-
What happened with the UCAT loop? Why we reload there?
Yeah, we didn't have enough money.
What was it? We just didn't budget correctly, or?
We're 10,000 short on what the county's asking for.
I think this deal with, what is it, Kitty? We pay a certain amount of money for the ridership,
Yeah,
and
I mean, we're going to be talking about UCAT a lot. I mean, there are some recommendations for big changes,
Oh, okay.
and I think they'll be on our Tuesday agenda.
Most of these lines, these transfers line up pretty well.
I mean, yeah,
General-
actually,
Look at the,
in general categories.
but we didn't
but they didn't, they,
increase.
no, what happened was, you overestimate for the police buyout, but she's transferring 65,000 from police buyout to police service, for the personal services for the police line. But why is the police line over 65,000? I thought he actually,
They're buying out 65,000 in days.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's it.
Okay.
That's what they're doing. They're buying out the $65,000 worth of days at the end of the contract year.
okay. Oh, she's transferring it from the buyout to personal services to
From
pay
the
it out.
buyout line.
Right, oh, from the buyout to pay it out. Right, okay. And then if you see a lot of it, the state retirement is 21,000 over, 63,000 for the police retirement.
Yeah,
That
but
was
this was
Well, fortunately,
totally budgeted that there was $100,000 left in the aid fund, medical insurance.
I know, but thank
Wow.
goodness it was, because
Yeah,
that covered the
but
retirement.
At least 100, right?
Yes, but then in the highway fund, we were short 51,000.
Can I ask you a question? Will we have a summary of the operational surplus or deficit for the whole year?
Not on your financial report.
No, but will we have that information?
Sure.
Shortly?
On the financial statements.
Okay. So we'll know whether we had a surplus or we ran a deficit last year shortly.
What do you mean by whether we ran a surplus or, we didn't overspend the budget, if that's
No,
what you mean.
I know that. So
Shortly?
I'd like to know what the surplus is that we have from last year.
You mean how much money in the budget we did not spend?
Correct. And then I want to know if it's in the bank somewhere.
Oh, no, it is in the bank. That's not the problem.
He wants to know what his fund balance is.
Well, we will know that after we get the annual report done.
Okay.
But whatever it was, it's probably about $100,000 less.
How can it be?
Just my guess,
How can it be
based on
100?
just because they took 100,000, because she took close to 100,000 out of contingency. 51,
But this doesn't tell
61,
me
71.
what other budget
No, I
lines
understand
still
that,
have
but
money.
it depends on how much you use of your fund balance.
Okay.
So,
So, what do
okay,
we-
so do we want to make the motion to make these transfers?
I'll make a
Minus-
motion to accept the transfers as
And
written.
these all
Oh.
been reviewed by?
Wait,
all
with
right.
the exception,
Well, why don't we just do it this way? Kitty can just vote no, we'll vote yes, and we'll just be done. And we can
No,
vote
I
on
think
that.
we should split
Okay.
it out so Kitty has an opportunity to vote yes.
Okay.
so I make a motion to approve these budget transfers, with the exception of the very first one, as written.
Do I have a second? I'll
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Now you
Okay,
have to, but you have to do a separate motion.
Okay,
Yeah,
I make a motion to accept the very first budget amendment on the page.
do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried.
No,
Oh,
just for the
Right,
record.
right, that's right,
Yeah.
okay. Do you want to, did you guys get a chance to look at the minutes real quickly?
I
for the-
did.
wanted a motion to adjourn.
No, I'm just asking if you looked at September 6 minutes, and if you did, we can, the September 6 minutes are fine. I read them, usually I'm the one who makes the changes. March 6th. So I'll make a motion to accept the March,
September
I did
6th
not.
was a very good night.
September?
March 6th.
Let's see.
This was the special, this was the special meeting on the wetlands, when we approved the wetlands.
I obviously want to make sure it's accurate.
What?
All the more reason to make sure it's accurate.
That's not a complete copy. I mean, it runs off at the bottom because I didn't print it on big paper. But I did read through the
You know-
entire thing.
Usually Rosanna tells us which minutes we're going to have to approve at which meeting, and I would have...
I've only reviewed the
She said
joint
them.
village
I
town
know she
minutes.
said them.
I reviewed them only. I didn't review that. So why don't we put that over for next week?
Can we put the minutes on hold while I'm waiting for a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.